Hi, everybody. Lovely to see you. I'm assuming you're all on mute, which is great. We're thrilled to have you here at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. That's the first time we've done a talk at this time. This is our third Curators Talk in our Now Gallery digital series. And I should introduce myself. I'm Jemima Burrill, and I'm the curator at Now Gallery. But most importantly, I want to introduce you to Emmanuelle Moureaux, who is here with us, but in Japan. We're very pleased to have her today. Thank you for being here, Emmanuelle.
Thank you.
Hope everybody can see her.
Good morning, good evening, I don't know. To everybody, thank you for coming.
It's been a total pleasure working with Emmanuelle on Slices of Time, which I hope that some of you have had the opportunity to see. It will, all being well, be open again in September. So please do come and check it out then, because it is a really miraculous piece of work. I don't think I'm going to do a massive introduction about Emmanuelle, because I think that we're going to talk through 13 images, and her process and ideas will come through as we look at those images. I think it's important that Emmanuelle hopefully will take part in this sharing of her work too. So at some point she may also share her screen, which will be great. But I think most importantly, because this is a Zoom call, we're not on Instagram, we're on Zoom, so it means that everybody can feed in, which I think is really important. We want your questions, we want your comments. We've got Now Gallery team here, we've got Magda, Kaya and Alicia who are going to be taking your questions, and they will feed them in at the end of the talk. So there will be time for us to hear from you, and that's really important to us. So please get on chat and take part. I'm going to now share my screen, and we're going to go through these images and talk with Emmanuelle. And in fact, I'm just going to show this image here, which is of an installation you did for MIYAKE called Sticks. And what I realized about your work, looking at it again with new eyes maybe for this talk, was that it seems that your work has no boundaries, that it is everything. It is design, it is art, it's all sorts of different thought processes. The question I have for you is, where did this all come from? I was curious about your education, and I was curious to find out about your formative years and how that feeds into your work process.
Okay. Sorry, I cannot see anybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Emmanuelle Moureaux. So I'm architect, so I study architecture in France. So I would say the backbone of my creations would be architecture. But when I moved to Japan a long time ago, now 1996 or 24 years ago, it was like a restart, because I had to learn everything again. So, and I walked a lot in the city of Tokyo every day. Every day I select a station and I walk in this area and I look the city by myself. So I think the most important things to inspire me was the city, was the things I saw and I felt with my body. To answer shortly.
Thank you for that. I'm going to go on now, and we're going to look at this slide. And I had been thinking about it in terms of your architectural practice and how your architecture feeds into your artwork. Are they the same thing? Is the way you think about architecture, is it the same as the way you think about art?
Of course, as an architect, all my approach, I would say, is like a three-dimensional. But it's exactly the same approach for me to work, to create like a building, like an architectural building or a chair or an art installation, as in your slide, color mixing. It's exactly the same. So I'm always like, I would travel between different scales, but the approach is exactly the same, to create spaces using like color as in the three-dimensional way. So it's the same for me. Yeah.
I can see that in your, it seems to be that it's not just about color or creating a structure. It's about the space that the color gives you, and the space that is made by the color, and how that color then interacts with you.
Sure, everything starts from the space.
Yeah.
Adding a layer of colors and layers of emotions to the space.
I remember sort of first talking to you, it must be a couple of years ago now, but about Tokyo and your love of Tokyo. And I just was interested if you could talk about this piece, which seems to feel very Japanese. And also you described about how vivid color became for you when you went to Tokyo, or how the colors really were the exciting thing about Tokyo.
Yes. First, this photo is a work, part of my 100 colors series. Is in the temple, Zojoji Temple located in Tokyo. You can see the Tokyo Tower in red in the background. First, I would like to say that all of my creations are inspired by Tokyo. And first, I would like to tell why I'm living in Tokyo. I think a lot of persons do not know that. The first time I went to Tokyo, it was when I was a student. It was 25 years ago. And when I saw the cityscape of Tokyo, there were so many colors, like seeming floating in the city. And it was so beautiful for me. It was like as it, I saw colors for the first time. When I was a student in France in architecture, I was not conscious, I was not especially in love with colors, I was not conscious about color, but by seeing the cityscape of Tokyo, it was like, as I saw colors for the first time, and I felt a lot of emotions. And I decided at this moment, in the first, I would say 1 hour, I was in Tokyo, I decided to live in Tokyo. So Tokyo is a source of my inspirations, all the colors in the city. And yes, and another point, but in this photo, you can, it's quite special photo with the temple and the Tokyo Tower. Not only the thing I love in Tokyo, it's not only the colors, the fact I call the layers. Tokyo is a city composed of a lot of different types of, for example, buildings, like you can see like that, with a very different shapes. They are not, you cannot see in this photo, but there are a lot of like signboards or electric cables. A lot of layers are like overlapping in the cities, like creating the city. And all these layers have colors. So it means that colors appear in my eyes not like floating, like in three-dimensional. That's the essence of my design.
Wow, I love the idea of floating three-dimensional color. That's amazing. But is color for you then a sort of sensual experience?
What do you mean? I don't understand the meaning.
Or does it make you feel things? Does yellow make you feel bright and blue make you feel blue? I don't know.
No, it just, all this color makes me, it's like emotions. They gave me I've been living for 24 years. They give me like energy, they give me joy, they make me happy, I would say.
I can understand that. I think we all need that now. I'm just going to go on now to this slide, which I think was on your Instagram, which we absolutely loved, which was about lockdown life. And I think we're all feeling it as creatives. How do you create with very little information coming into you? And often, I imagine in your case, with projects being cancelled completely. So how do you maintain that creative, well, obviously you do this, which is fantastic. What are you doing in lockdown right now?
Of course, I would precise that in Tokyo, it's not like a real lockdown as you are, I think, experiencing in London or in other countries in Europe or in the United States. It's so for me, my office is, I would say, is closed. The member of my team are working from home, but for me, I'm coming every day. I do not take train, so I use bicycle. It's the first time in Tokyo, and I came and I'm alone. So here, I would say it's a very strange moment. It's like, yes, it's like very strange. I'm in my studio. There is nobody, only me. It's like weekends on weekdays. It's nice for me. It's like more, I would say, more slower, like a rhythm as usually. So I take this time to think, to make things I cannot make it at usual time.
It's a reflective moment. I think it's it's an opportunity, yes, maybe to reflect and I think I'm interested for artists whether being slower is a good thing. I think it's an interesting, it's a conundrum. How do we use this opportunity in a good way to do other things that maybe we wouldn't have the opportunity to do?
Sure.
I'm going to move on to this slide, which I love this piece of work, which was in Paris and Tokyo. And although I see that you have a huge affinity to Japan, you also, to me, seem very French. And I was curious to see how being French feeds into your designs, even though you take Japan as your inspiration.
I think, I don't know, I think for me, of course, only the city of Tokyo inspires me. So I would say nothing about my French part, only the fact, of course, when I was a student and when I came from the first time and I saw Tokyo, I saw the cityscape as a French with, but for the moment, no, nothing. I think a lot of Japanese say I'm more Japanese than French.
And you speak fluent Japanese, so you are completely at home.
Yes,
in Japan. It's your home.
Yes.
And we're going to go on to this extraordinary piece of work, which I hope you're going to talk a little bit about, because for me, it was the piece that I saw that inspired me to ask you to do the Now Gallery piece. And obviously it's numbers like the Now Gallery piece, but it has a different approach. And I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about it and also talk about shikiri, yes, which is creating space through colour. But also I think that we've talked about your colour, but your form as well. Form is as important. Numbers or other forms that you use in your sculpture are as important as your colour.
Mm-hmm. Yes, first about shikiri. Shikiri, first is, when you say shikiri, it's a Japanese word which means like a screen, like a dividing screen. But when I create this concept, I change the way of writing in Japanese character by using the character of color, which has the same pronunciation. So the pronunciation is the same, but the meaning changes totally. And shikiri means dividing by using color. It means like creating space using colors. It's a concept inspired by, as I explained before, by the layers and the colors of the city of Tokyo. I think
the surveyors. Did you say
that?
the surveyors of Tokyo? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
It's inspired by the layers and the colors
right.
of Tokyo. Sorry. And I think usually, especially in architecture or in, for example, in space design, the color is usually considered as like a minor element, often decided at the end of the design process. Especially, for example, in architecture, at the end you decide the color of the wall, etc. It's like a very two-dimension, like a finishing something. But for me, color is something more and more important like that. It's definition, the meaning of shikiri for me. It's I mean, I use colors not as a two-dimensional element, but as a three-dimensional element, like layers in the space, in order to create space, and not as a finishing touch. So it's my, I would say, creation concept, and the layers of colors. Yes, I always, with these colors, of course, I try to give emotion to people, as I felt when I saw the cityscape of Tokyo. And that I think colors can make people smile, give energy, give a lot of emotions. And you talk about the form of colors. Yes, it's very important for me. I'm always like taking a new form of colors. My first project at the beginning, using shikiri, was inspired by the Japanese traditional screen. So I would say using more like surface shikiri, using like colors in like a big sheet of colors like that. But after the shape, the form of shikiri evolves all the time, and I'm trying to use color like as lines, as in the slide you show, for example, is MIYAKE sticks, and then thinner and thinner in other projects, or like, for example, numbers, or with a particular shape, like in this project.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But I also think that it's, I mean, we've really found, and I know that Magda, Kara and Alicia will agree with me, that people come in and they have a reaction to your piece. I mean, they come in and not only they in awe, but it just seems like the kind of color vibrates and, you know, does something really special to the space. Well, it does in Now Gallery. But I also think it's the relationship between the colors. It's the fact that you have the yellow and then it you know changes into another color, and it's the conversation that the color is having, and that is also interesting.
Thank you. This installation, as a slice of time, is part of, as I call, 100 colors series. 100 colors.
This is an example of it.
Yes, it's an example. That is Forest of Number. So the colors in this installation and the colors in the Forest of Numbers in the previous slides are the same colors, are 100 colors. And 100 colors installation is an installation I start in 2013 for the 10th anniversary of my studio. I was invited by Shinjuku City in Tokyo to make an exhibition, and I decided to, it was the 10th anniversary of my studio, to create something which represents the concept of shikiri. And I wanted that people become like more conscious about colors, because to give like opportunity to person to feel colors with all their body. And I think 100 is a very familiar number, which means a lot, but you can count. It's not infinite. You can count from 1 to, it's many, but not too many. And it's familiar number, 100%, 100 points, etc. And in the daily life, you do not have the opportunity to see like 100 colors condensed in one space. So I decided at this time to create the 100 colors, the most beautiful for me, of course, it's totally subjective in my eyes, the 100 colors, the most beautiful for me, and to create like a space by using these 100 colors. And it was a plan only for one exhibition, but when my team and me, when we finished to install and when we entered the space, it was so incredible. We felt a lot of things, and we decided we wanted to go on like that and try to make to make the installation like a series in order a lot of persons can experience the colors.
And I hear that, I read that these were all hand dyed, so that it's not just any old color, it's incredibly specific. So each color, I think there was a particular brown in your exhibition, which probably isn't a brown, is a kind of pinky browny, you know, which was a color I don't think I've ever seen before. I mean, you are using very, very specific color.
Yes, for these colors, yes, we are now looking, yes. It was the first time we made it was an outside 100 colors exhibition. So it had to be in textile, not papers, because it was outside, of course. So we had to dye in my studio. But of course, we are not professional. Of course, we are not like, I'm not textile artist or something like that. So member of my team make a lot of tests and yes. But these colors, these 100 colors, for me are the colors I feel in the city of Tokyo. But when I say that to a Japanese person, they don't believe me. But for me, it's Tokyo.
You've represented Tokyo in those 100 colors.
Yes, it's my vision. Yes. The colors
well, we're going to go on to Slices of Time now, which has totally captured people's imagination. Oh no, we're not. Sorry, we're actually going to go on to two projects of yours before we go on to Slices of Time. And I do hope that everybody's feeding in and asking questions, because we love to have those at the end. So do please ask us any questions that you would like to. So these are two projects by you, Emmanuelle, and I'm hoping that you can give us a little bit of information about them. But I did, looking at the kid, I know you could talk for hours about them, but the kindergarten, I looked at some interior shots, and the corridors, all these fantastic bright colours, and all the children have different colour lockers, and it's exquisite. And I'm sure that someone's going to send you through. I can't remember if it's a design boom piece, but anyway, that has some images of the interior, which is just fantastic.
Yes, on the left side is a kindergarten in the south of Japan, and I designed the architecture, everything for this project. And I used the first time when I start a project, the first time I decide, not the first time, the first thing I decide when I start a project, it is the number of colors I will use for the project, depending on the type of project, of the context, my inspiration, etc. And for this project, it's called Crèche Lokomatsu. I use 22 colors, and it represents like a colorful grove. And on the right, the right photo as the title of the installation, 1000 Colors Wave. For this installation, I used 1000 real different colors. It was a very, very challenging project. Starting it, this photo is from 2019. This project started in 2017. It's an installation to show the dyeing techniques of Imabari. It's a very famous city and area in Japan called Imabari, very famous for the towel and the dyeing. And it was an installation to show the techniques of the craftsmen of Imabari. And there are 8 dyeing factories in Imabari. And it was a collaboration with them. And it was a challenge to, when we start the project, the first thing I decided to, I asked them to dye 1000 colors.
Wow.
And yeah, they said no. They was very, very, of course, surprised, but it was because there were 8 factories. I wanted a collaboration project. If everybody together collaborates, it will be possible. And they collaborate and they created perfectly the 1000 colors.
Amazing.
So yes, but it was very, very hard of course, for the dyeing craftsmen, but it was very, very hard for me also, because creating 1000 palettes, it's I don't know if you can imagine, it's incredible. There are not enough space to
lay them all out.
Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible.
But it looks fantastic.
It was very nice.
Yeah, it looks extraordinary. And actually you can see, if you look really closely, that all those yellows, they're all slightly different. I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's miraculous, really extraordinary.
Yeah, because there was 1002 seats in this auditorium, so it fits perfectly.
Mm. And I love the contrast actually between the 26 colours on the kindergarten, the simplicity of that, and yet even 1000 colours, you make it look so easy. And so kind of, I mean, we can't imagine how difficult that must have been, because you look at the piece and you're like, wow, that is just simple and beautiful and complex, but again, you know, just very, very pleasing to the eye. And now we are going to go on to Slices of Time, which we absolutely, we loved having installed in our gallery. Now I know you're quite, I was trying to think of the word, it's not skeptical, but you're quite private about how you go about installing these pieces. Yeah. So I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about how you brought 168,000 numbers to the UK and installed them in our gallery over 2 weeks.
Yes. First, I don't know if all the person who are listening now know the piece or not, but I'll say Slice of Time is composed of, as you say, 168,000 small numbers. And all the numbers are very well, like, how do you say, aligned in a 3-dimensional grid, perfectly aligned, as in my other installation. And each layer, there are 120 layers, and each layers represent 1 year. So it means that each layer is composed of 4 numbers. For example, the first layer is composed of 2020 for 2020, 2020202020. The second one 2021, 2021, 2021. So it's it seems very perhaps simple, but it's very, very complicated process and very long process. And I will talk about the process of making. It's not specially for Slice of Time, it's for other like installation like that. I say after deciding, so the concept for this, for example, deciding the concept in that case to represent time by using like numbers. I take a lot of time, I would say several months, to study I call the module like its number. For that, it can be a silhouette of woman. For the installation, I call like a module, I mean one piece. We take a lot of time to study the best size of one module. And of course, not only the size, but the best distance, because it is in a three-dimensional grid with the horizontal distance, vertical distance, and like in depth, like X, Y, Z, all the distance. It means a lot of simulation. And it's very important for me to all the time to feel with my body. So we make like a real scale module in my studio. So we make a lot with, for example, so it's a hard work, because we cut a lot of, like, for example, numbers, different size to install and to change, make arrangements, etc., etc. And so it's a quite long process from the concept step to the, I would say, like the size of one module, the number. And when the size of one module and the distance and everything is decided, of course, at the same time, we study how this module will be in the space, we create the space. So it means how many modules will create this space. And when everything is decided, we make like drawings. I would say it's not like architectural drawings, quite specific drawings. I call like to make, I call line, because my installation, like Slice of Times, is composed of a lot of like line, like using fishing lines. And it's necessary to make very, very detailed, like line drawing. I mean, this line has, for example, the number 0 here, number 2 here, to express, to communicate the exact location of exact numbers. So it's a long process made in my studio here. But it's the first part of the process. After, it's a more and more long process using the collaboration of a lot of persons. For Slice of Time, I use paper, so it needs a lot of person. We will like cut the paper to the special shape. It seems perhaps easy in your mind, but cut like 168,000 numbers in 100 colors. It takes also 1 month or a lot of time to prepare, etc., etc. And not only cut, after everything has to be, of course, well prepared for the next, I would say, collaborator. So the first step, I would say, is in my studio. The second one to prepare the paper. The third one is to cut the paper. And after, it's to prepare the line. It's a huge work. For example, a Slice of Time, it means to, how do you say, to attach 1068 numbers on fishing lines. And of course, everything is made by hand, and everything is calculated in advance, I will say, because we made very precise drawings. So you cannot make like that. You have to be very, very precise and to attach the number at the exact location. It means it's a very concentrating work, and it needs a lot of person participation. It is the next process. And after, it's a quite very important process too. It's to how do you say, to finish the lines corresponding to the way to the installation will be made. It's always a very challenging point for my installation. For example, for slides of time, we had like 2 weeks for the installation, so it was very, very helpful for that. But for example, for other installation, it may be sometimes only 3 days or only 1 week. So it depends on the gallery or the museum or the space. So we have had all the time to think about the way to make the installation, I mean the setup, possible in the period, in the setup period. So each time we think a lot about that to create the best, the efficient way in order that the setup will be okay. And for installation like that, because I use very, very small numbers, the challenge, the very difficult thing was to create a system that when you attach the line do not tangle together. That was the most challenging things for us, and we studied a lot in our studio. And so we found a system. It was a system specially developed for slides of time. And so when I went back, when people finish to create, like to attach all the numbers, so they have to prepare like the lines as we request to make them easy. So it's, I would say, the total, there are several hundreds of persons helped me to make possible an installation like that. And for slides of time, to be very honest, it was the most yes, important number, the most big number at the moment, 168 numbers, and it takes a lot of time, and it was so precious for me, because an installation like that means for me not only the artwork, but means all the, I would say, all the work of the previous months of a lot of persons. So I decided not to send. Usually I ship like the artwork, yeah. But I decided not to make by shipping because I was afraid about that.
This came so
yes, so we brought by ourselves. And after, it was your support a lot. After it was 2 weeks in our gallery with the help of a lot of very nice assistants and working every day to make it possible. So it's a very, very long process. And I say, usually I do not show the process because I want people enjoy only the results, and I do not show the process. But only to say, I cannot make. If I was alone, it's absolutely impossible. I need a lot of the collaboration of a lot of persons.
We only know a little bit about how hard it was. I mean, in that you can just see that making sure that everything comes down from the ceiling unwrapped up to each other was very challenging, but it was also incredibly simple. I mean, how you created the artwork meant that it was the way it came down, it very rarely tangled, and when it did, it was a fiddle to sort out, but yeah, an extraordinary, you had thought about it so carefully. I'm going to show it to you. In fact, there is a film of it, which I'm not going to show because I think otherwise we're going to run out of time, because I think we do need to have some questions very soon. So please, I'm hoping that someone, Alicia or Magda, can send out the image, the link to the film so that people can see that, because and also you can go to our website and you can see the scan, which I'm sure that Alicia and Magda are going to be sending you the link out for the scan, so you can actually walk around the gallery and see it. I mean, I'm really hoping that you'll come and see it in September too, but in case you're not in this country or not in London and can't, please go to the scan, because it really gives you an amazing idea of how complex this piece is, and also the sense of it being kind of thoroughly disorganized in a way. You walk in and it's all these numbers jumbled up, and then you walk around and you can just see the kind of preciousness of these incredible kind of straight lines within the work. So please do go and explore that. And it is a piece that yeah, has really captured everybody's imaginations, and we do love it.
Yeah, sorry, to just precise, the space between the white and the colors is a now. It's the only space in the installation you stand, and it's a present. And the white numbers express the past, and the 100 colors express the future. So the first color is a very light yellow, is express 2020. So I'm very happy if you will be able to go in September. I don't know. I need to be open and to stand there and to feel. I think to feel about that.
Yeah, the piece works so well exactly because you have the past in white. And then I should remember, but I can never remember, what number does the future go up to? What number? So it's these are all dates. So it starts with the present date. Past.
From the past, from the past there are 20 layers starting 2000 to 2019. And for the now to the future, it's 100 years in 100 colors, starting 2020 to 2119.
That's right, yeah, of course, yeah. So definitely worth seeing. Right, we're going to literally have a very quick view of something new from Emmanuelle, and then we're going to questions straight after this. So can you tell us a little bit about this new work, and then we're going to have questions.
Oh, can I show you? Can I share my screen? Because I went on site yesterday.
So questions coming up, everybody. Do please let us have questions.
It's photo taken by me, so.
So is this the first sculptural piece that you've done like this?
Yes, it's like it's my first, I would say, like it's a public art, like sculpture, which is in Tokyo. It's a Green Springs. It's a new like well-being area in Tokyo. It's called Mirai. Mirai is a Japanese word which means the future. And wow, I don't want to use like that. How do you say it's composed of? It represents the future 100 year, starting from 2020, like that, and in 100 colors, of course. And you can, like kids, you can enter inside.
That's fantastic. I'm really aware that we've only got 10 more minutes. So it'd be nice if you wouldn't mind stop sharing screens so that we can kind of see everybody. And I know that we've had some lovely comments just now saying that the future is bright. So everybody is, has really enjoyed your work. But Magda, are you up to letting us know what people want to know?
Yeah, sure. We've had a lot of questions, so I think we're going to get through them all, but maybe we can answer them on Instagram after. The first one's from Morena, and she says, has Japan changed your relationship with materials?
With material?
Materials, yeah.
Oh, yes, it's a good question. Yes, I think so, because as you know, the traditional Japanese architecture is made like it's not composed of like wall of hard wall. It's composed like a very light structure, like wood or like a paper screen, something like that. So yes, it changed my vision of material in term. I start, yes, using like a more light material like screen. It's a concept of shikiri. It's in opposite of like Western wall. When there is a wall in a space, you cannot see what happens on the other side of the wall. But for example, in Japanese architecture or like a paper screen, if there is a paper screen, you can see that, for example, you cannot see at 100%, but you can see the shadows. You can see lightly the nature, etc. So yes, it changed my vision of material.
Thank you. The next question's from Irina, and she says, I'd like to ask Emmanuelle if she's addressing any contemporary issues with her pieces.
I don't understand the meaning of the question.
She wants to know if you are addressing any contemporary issues with your work.
I mean, political issues or social issues, do we know?
No. I'm not sure to understand the meaning, so perhaps they mean, for example, for contemporary issue.
I mean, I suppose it could be anything. Is there any contemporary issues like sustainability or political disruption, or is there any? I would ask whether there is a sense of your work being more about a political. I mean, I'm not sure that it is, but maybe you feel it is. It's whether your work's conceptual.
No, my work is all my work, I think, is conceptual. Yes, it's conceptual. Every work is on concept. But as I say, the colors. All of my installation, important thing for me is that how do you say? I want people to feel colors for the first time, and only that is okay for me. But for some person, behind the colors, I would say there is a message in my creations, a concept, and yes, but.
Not a social or economic or political.
No, not at all. No.
Next question, Magda.
The next one is from Jennifer, and she says, what have been the greatest challenges in bringing your ideas to life?
What was the biggest challenging, you mean?
Yeah, that's right.
In slice of time, or in general, you mean?
In general?
I think in general.
The most challenging. I don't know. Perhaps my answer will be totally. But I think everything was challenging for me. I think because I decided to move to Tokyo and to start everything from the beginning. And when I moved to Tokyo, I was like a baby. I cannot read what was written in the city, so it was like a new start. But I decided to live in Tokyo and to create like pieces using colors to give emotions to people. So I think the most challenging things for me was to, don't say perhaps not challenging, but the most important thing for me is quite different, but was to keep this, how do I say, only to trust my eyes, to trust my vision, and not to be influenced by the things the other person says, etc. I think it's at the center important and challenging. Only try, yes, believe me, I would say, believe my feeling and believe my eyes, I would say.
I think
but I can say for the present now, it's the same thing.
I think that's a brilliant answer. I think that's to believe in yourself and to have the understanding that what you're doing is right is the biggest challenge for any artist, I think. You know, just to be able to move forward with your own self-belief is really the exciting thing, but the hardest thing to do. Magda, you're up.
Okay. The next question is from Andrea, and she said, what inspires you in the design process and when establishing a concept for your work?
What inspires the design process?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, except as a I talk a lot of, except of course the layers, the colors of Tokyo. I would say the nature, the forms in the nature and the mathematics, and are always inspiring a lot. Jemima shows like installation bunshi made in Paris in Japan. Bunshi, it's mean like ramification in Japanese. So it's represent like a small branch like that. So a lot of motif I design are inspired by like nature, motif in the nature, I would say. And of course colors and the city of Tokyo.
Great. The next question is from Jasmine, and she said, does Emmanuelle intend for her artwork to be interactive?
Attend, do you mean, do I want?
Yeah, exactly.
It depends on the sense of interactivity. I think when you saw, I want the heart of the person who saw my installation, the heart move. Let's say. Sorry for my bad English. So it's for me, if the heart of one person moves, it's like interactive. It means that the person reacts to the installation. So in that sense, it's important for me. And it's important in that way. But yes.
Okay. The next one is from Kate, and she said, what makes you the most excited in terms of audience response to your work?
What is the most exciting?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, good question. When I made an installation, always I went on site and I hide myself and I look the person and the reaction, because yes, it's interesting for me. But I think the thing I'm the most happy, it's when person enter the space or see the space, and when they smile naturally. I think yes, I'm very, very happy when naturally people smile. I think, yeah.
On that note, because I think that's such a lovely note to end on, because I think we all need to smile lots at the moment. So we all have to go on your website and see all your fantastic work, and it'll make us smile. I think we probably should end, which always makes me very sad. But what's great is we're going to have another talk in 2 weeks' time with the laundry, which Kaya Charles is going to be discussing with them the idea of slowness as a bridge, which I just think is a fantastic concept. Slowness as a bridge, and that's on the 26th of May at 7 p.m. So please tune in for that. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Emmanuelle, thank you so much for coming and talking to us and for filling our lives with colour and joy at this point in time. And we look forward to opening up slices of time to, if not everybody, but everybody socially distanced in September, so you can come in and enjoy it more or less on your own. Please do that. have a look at our website. We've got lots of really lovely digital fun things for kids to do on our Now Gallery website. And yeah, just everybody stay safe. Thank you, Magda and Alicia, for making this happen. And Emmanuelle, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you. I cannot see anybody, but it's very strange. It's the first time for me to make like a Zoom talk. But thank you very much for coming, and I hope you will be able to see Slice of Time by your own eyes, if it's possible. I hope that. Thank you very much, and thank you, Jemima, and everything. Yeah, and everything, everybody. For it. I want to meet you again.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you.
September, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Emmanuelle, I hope I'll stay with you and everybody else. We hope you'll come back in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, thank you.